Hi everyone, welcome to the App Monsters demo video. My name is Melissa Tonks and I'm just going to give you a quick live demo of our review rating system. So as you can see, I've got the login page up already, and if we go in as a guest user, here you can select the game category. You'll see on the right here that you've got stars displayed, and these stars are the average of the reviews that have already been left. If no one has actually left reviews for a game yet, you'll see that it's actually blank on the side, and the button here will say add first review. If there are reviews, you'll see the button says see reviews, and the number of reviews that have been left will be displayed between the brackets. So here, if we go in, you can see our rating review frame. You can see the username and the star rating, and also the comment left by any player who has left a review. You can sort these reviews by newest to oldest, oldest to newest, high to low, low to high, based on the rating. It's totally up to you. You'll notice now I've got an add review button as well, because I haven't left a review. If I click on that, it will actually say that you need to actually be logged in to actually leave a review. So if we go back and I'll log in, now I'm logged in as Melissa, and we can go back in. It's still got the add review because I haven't left a review for this game. So if we click on add review, here you can see our write review frame. So you've got the ability to check how many stars you want to leave for the game, and then you can also write a comment. Down the bottom here, you've got a 1500 word limit, and it'll actually count down the characters remaining for you. So if we submit that review and then go back in, you can actually see the review that we just left. The add review button is now gone, but you'll notice there's also a modify delete button now next to the review I just left. So this button option will only appear if the person who is logged in is the person who left that particular review. So from here, if we go to modify, it's another write review frame, but it's slightly different in that it's got its delete review option at the top. You can change your star rating, you can change your comment, and then if we go update review, you can now see that it's updated it to 4 stars. So if we go back in and I can delete it, it asks if I'm sure. Yep, review deleted, and then it's disappeared, and I've got the add review button to go. So that's our review rating system. Next, you've got Renan to explain a few more of our features. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi everyone, I'm Renan, and while Melissa showed us some of the functionality for our reviews feature, I'm going to show stuff that has changed from the previous sprint video and to how it is now. So on the left we have the new version, and on the right we have the version from a couple of weeks ago. After signing in and opening up the server page, we can see here that the first change, we can see the number of the reviews for each game, and we can also see the option to add the first review for the games that don't have one yet. Opening up the reviews frame, this is the new one, and this one on the right is the older one. We can see that it's gone through an aesthetic change where the colors are more standard to the rest of the program, and the actual display of the reviews, we now have a scroll bar, and the reviews aren't cut off if they're too big. We can also sort the reviews now, where before we couldn't. And clicking to add a review, we had shown this page, and well, in the old one, we had a checkbox for the stars, and now we can actually see the stars and they changed. Adding the review, we can see another difference. Submitting this one, nothing happens. We can submit a couple, and I'll show you later that we could add a couple of more than one review per person before. But now after submitting, we get a nice a nice alert, and we're taken back here where we can see the new review. And going back here, after we click this to open it again, we can see that we submitted several reviews for the same game, and we have no option to either modify it or delete it, whereas here we can come here, delete it, yes, and now it's been deleted. And while before we had the actual email of each user showing for each review, now we make a call to the database to get their username from their email, and we decided to go to this because we realized that showing the email for each user wasn't very privacy oriented. We thought that maybe the people that were posting the reviews didn't want everyone seeing what their email would be, And so by making a call to the database and getting their username from that, we now show the actual username of each user for each of the reviews. And now I'll pass you to Daniel, who will take us through a high-level architecture of how our feature works. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'll talk about the high-level architecture and organization of our code for creating the game reviews and rating system. We have code on the client side, server side, and in a common folder. This is a sequence diagram to show how the data flows between the game's client and the game server. The minigame client communicates with the server through HTTP request. The client can request the server to perform operations on game reviews, such as retrieving a list of reviews, adding a new review to a game, or deleting and updating an existing review. When the HTTP request is received by the server, it calls the corresponding method in the game review service class, which is a business logic level class. This class in turn uses a data access class called GameReviewed Data Access Object, which communicates with the database class through the Vertex Event Bus API. Data is returned back to the client either as a JSON object or as a primitive value, such as when requesting just an average rating for a game. In the minigame server class, we have added HTTP route handlers for the standard operations to create, update, read, and delete game reviews. In the common folder, we have a game review service class, which contains wrapper methods for the CRUD operations for game reviews, and various other business logic level methods, such as game review match for filtering game reviews. We have a game review data access object class for communicating with the database. We have a game review helper class, which contains helper methods related to game reviews. For example, we have a method for calculating the average rating from a list of reviews, another method for transforming database rows into game review objects. On the client side, we have a reviews database API class containing wrapper methods for communicating with the minigame server APIs. We have a reviews page frame responsible for displaying and controlling behavior of the window for displaying game reviews. We have a write review frame class, which displays and controls behaviors of the window for adding and deleting and updating a review. We have also other helper classes such as star button and star rating panel for modeling different user interface elements and their behaviors.
Hi everyone, I'm Rowan and I'll go through the details we have of our feature on the wiki. So first of all, we mentioned the issue we're trying to address. Again, we want to have a review system where people can check reviews from themselves and others, and also add, modify, or delete reviews. So we have an overview of each of these sub-features and useful images to demonstrate it as well. We have backend and front-end components listed here as well. And we have UML diagrams of those, and we also have Java docs, as you can see here. We also have APIs. So for example, here we send the game name across and we get back a list of reviews associated with that game. Down here as well, we have the general game review data flow as well. We have some design patterns we've noticed as well, finally. So for example, the observer pattern. So when a user submits a review, they'll have chosen a star rating, and internally that's recorded, and that will be used to both update their review. So they rated at 1, it will now, and then increase it to a 5, so that will now display a 5, but also the average review will be changed. We also have the state behavioral pattern, when the behavior of an object changes when its internal state changes. So basically, the window used to add or update a review will change based on whether someone has added a review previously or not. If they've added that, it's update, otherwise it's submit. We have a data access object structural pattern, so DAO, and that's important for a multitude of reasons. For example, the data access layer might change over time. So we have the game review DAO class, which provides access to the database for CRUD operations. A separate class called game review service utilizes the DAO to access game reviews data and also contains business logic methods like get average rating. So the command pattern is when the details of a request are encapsulated into an object. So object in this case is just the JSON object, and then we package the details of the database operation into it, and then we send it over. We have the composite pattern, which basically represents the swing window itself. So the user interacts with the swing window. Say they click right in the center, then the swing window will find the panel associated with the center, go down until it finds the last panel, and then we'll find the component on that panel. And that's what the user will then interact with. And because they are components, maybe it's a label, in which case nothing happens, or the component can also be clicked, and then a button interacts based on an event. We finally have dependency injection. This is really important because GUIs are hard to test, and it allowed us to more easily create things elsewhere and then just inject it into the examples we make in our test.
Hi, I'm back and I'll be quickly going through some of the tests for a feature. So starting off with the game review service, so this is part of the backend of a feature, we create a JSON object and we put all this simple data into it. And then after calling the static function parse game reviews data on it, we make sure that all of the values are in the correct rows and columns where they should be and have the actual correct values. And the game review helper test, so still part of the backend, we test that it calculates the average review correctly. And then going into the front-end components, or a GUI, we start out with the write review frame, which is the frame where you actually write the review in and you choose the rating and you submit it. And these are the three features that we're going to test inside this panel. So we make sure that the star rating panel is there, and this is the panel that we choose the rating between 1 and 5, the stars. We make sure the JText area is there, so this is where you're actually going to write the reviews and the comments for the review. And this is the J button with text, so the button where you click to actually submit to the review to the database, and we make sure it's also there, which is accomplished finding them through all these helper functions. The star rating panel, we test that it has the correct number of stars. So here when it's 0, it should be 0. After we set it to 3, it should be 3, and to 5 as well. And for the start button, so before we had the number of stars selected, but we want to make sure that, so if a star is selected or not selected or almost selected, we have different images that show up, and this is testing that we're showing the correct image to the user. And finally, for the last feature and the last GUI component as well, we test the reviews page frame, which is the frame that displays all of the reviews, individual reviews for a game and their rating. And so before each of the tests, we do this setup here where we mock all these classes and we put all this sample data into it. And then we just test that, we do all the tests for the actual reviews page. So we tested the names there, that the frames there, that we have the buttons, and that it does all the sorting properly. And all the helper functions as well to help out with all of it. And that's it. Thanks for watching our video, guys. Take care.